Good morning and welcome to the Daily Cyber Briefing for Monday, the 15th of July. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Netgear warns users to patch routers because of an authentication bypass via cross-site scripting flaws. So this particular vulnerability, let me see. It affects several Wi-Fi 6 router models. The firmware version which is fixed is 1.0.0.72, and it impacts the XR1000 Nighthawk gaming routers. The authentication bypass bug is fixed in version 2.2.2.2 and impacts CAX30 Nighthawk AX6 six-stream cable modem routers. So if you are using Netgear routers, it is definitely worth having a look. There were around half a dozen vulnerabilities affecting the WNR614N300 small business home router routers, I think last month, or quite recently anyway. So it's definitely worth having a look. If you're using Netgear stuff, they have been pushing out patches. It is always important to stay on the most up-to-date versions, obviously. Now, bear in mind, of course, your routers might update, and quite often if they're provided by one of the big telcos, the telcos have given themselves access to your router on the outside and can push this sort of stuff out. But don't trust that to be the only way that these things can be kept up to date. I think it's very unlikely that your assumption that it's not your problem will prove to be true. So have a look, and if your firmware version is not up to date, check with your manufacturer. Check with the manufacturer of the router as to what you should be doing in order to get it to be up to date. There is a critical bug in the Exim mail transfer agent. Exim being quite old but very popular, lightweight, very functional, easy to use. Come across it everywhere. Mail transfer agent. The vulnerability allows the bypass of security filters. So, particular vulnerability is tracked as CVE 2024-39929, and it was patched by the developers of the Exim. So Exim, it's open source stuff. You'll find this on Linux. Sorry, didn't make that clear. The vulnerability affects all versions up to and including 4.97.1. So there are literally millions of routers out there. Millions of instances. I still think about the previous article. Millions of instances out there. So about in fact, actually 1.5 million. There we go. Vulnerable mail servers using this particular tool are there. So bearing in mind, as we'll speak about later in this briefing, the time between announcement, proof of concept, and exploit is much, much shorter than it used to be. So some interesting stats, by the way, in this article. It's a Bleeping Computer article, and as always, very well written, very very good article. Around, they say, 59% of the 409,000 mail servers reachable on the internet during a survey they ran were running Exim. So that represents 240 odd thousand Exim instances. So Shodan has got this down as 3.3 million XSIM servers currently exposed online. So there are a lot of XSIM mail servers out there. It's proper heavyweight stuff. You can, although interestingly, it's very easy and it's actually quite a lightweight um, from a resource perspective and so on and so forth. It's really nice. I like XSIM. I like a lot of the older Unix tools, and that's just my age, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of it out there. If you are using it in as any part of your mail environment, do make sure that you've had a look. If you are getting your updates directly from the XM developers, go download, compile, install. Otherwise, check with your distribution, your Linux distribution, to see whether they have pushed out a patch for this already. And as always, don't assume that these things will auto update. They might auto update. You might have written a script which auto updates them, but if you haven't, go check, make sure, because this is serious enough that you want to be on top of it. Now, heads up that ViperSoft X malware is being distributed through ebooks. Cybersecurity News article, this one. So ViperSoft X spreads through torrent sites pretending to be ebooks. So the infection starts with the download of a RAR archive that includes a hidden folder and some deceptive, I wish they were defective, they're not, deceptive shortcut files that look like harmless PDF or ebook, and a PowerShell script. The archive also contains AutoIT.exe and AutoIT scripts disguised as JPEG images. So when the user clicks on the shortcut file, it kicks off a series of commands which results in the malware being distributed. So why do I bring this up? Well, okay, I think firstly, it does appear to be quite well written, quite well put together. Somebody's put some thought into how to distribute this. So there are certain number of anti detection features built into this particular piece of software. However, I think the real reason is just as a reminder to be cautious about where you are getting things from. If you are using things like, if you're using things like torrent sites to get stuff, just be aware that there is an uncomfortably high percentage of stuff that's distributed in that way, which one way or another is malicious. So wherever possible, stick to legitimate sources of things. I mean, if you're looking at an ebook, unless it's something utterly bizarre, it probably wouldn't cost you much to get it on Kindle or Apple Books or whatever. So probably not such a great idea to download it via torrent sites. Just think about the sources of where you're getting things from. That goes for any particular software. Be careful with things that where you can't be certain of the authenticity of the source that you're getting stuff from. A little while ago, I can't remember now, couple of months, few weeks, yeah, we spoke about the fact that there was a breach of the phone surveillance operator mSpy. Well, there's more information on this. In May, unknown attackers stole millions of customer support tickets. Um, and some of these data, some of the information stolen dates back to 2014, and they were stolen via the spyware maker Zendesk powered customer support system. So MSpy's a phone surveillance app, um, which is marketed as a tool to track children or monitor employees. It is, though, I think more commonly used as stalkerware, and regularly used for dubious, if not illegal, spying on friends, family, partners, you name it. So yeah, just be aware if you are the user of dodgy spyware on your partner's devices, it may well come to light, because there's a whole lot of stuff that's been uh, pushed out regarding the stolen data. And then finally from me today, another article from Beeping Computer that I think is worth us thinking about. Hackers are using proof of concept exploits in attacks 22 minutes after their release. I think is that's the fastest that's been recorded so far. So I know that a lot of people are still in the mindset that there is quite a long time between a vulnerability being disclosed, a proof of concept being published, and real exploits being used. I think you can pretty much say that as soon as there's a proof of concept out there, the exploits, if they're not already there, the exploits are coming en masse. So almost definitely, for the vast majority of vulnerabilities where there is a proof of concept, there will have been some malicious activity prior to the proof of concept. The people who first started using these vulnerabilities maliciously will have their own, they're not proof of concept, they will have their own malware or whatever that exploits that vulnerability. But as soon as a proof of concept is published, it moves the quantity and quality of people exploits down to it's just a commodity level. So do be aware. It is definitely worth keeping on top of things. Best protection against all this sort of stuff, as always, is regular patching. Even if you are not in a position to proactively do much in the vulnerability management space, just by patching, just by being rigorous about keeping on top of patches on all things, as we said, not just your Windows desktops, everything, all your routers, all your switches, your storage devices, you name it. If it can be patched and updated, keep it patched and updated. Because as soon as the proof of concept is out there, the fastest that we've seen yet is, according to this article, is around 22 minutes. You're going to really struggle if you're not on top of your patching. Generally, legitimate proof of concepts come out after the patch has been released and has been out for long enough that most organizations should have patched. So bear that in mind and focus on keeping up to date. Another interesting part of the same article talks about the fact that there's a Cloudflare report demonstrating that 6.8% of all daily internet traffic is distributed out of service. That's very nearly 7% of all traffic. That's an absolutely astronomical amount. And yes, it is variable, of course, but there's an interesting PDF that you can download if you want to have a read of the details of that. It comes from stats from Cloudflare, like I said. and it just demonstrates how much nastiness there is going on out there. Right, that's enough from me for today.